Hello, I'm Miranda and welcome to another Wargamergirl Battle Report. Today I'm very excited. We're doing a Company of Iron game, and not just with me, but with these fine folks actually. We've got Kitty here. What have you got today, Kitty?
I'm playing Grymkin.
And we've got Patrick. And Patrick, what are you playing today?
Troll Bloods.
All right, so this will be fun. A Company of Iron scenario. Be sure to check it out. Let's see how this goes. The Grymkin team is led by Hollow Holden of the Hollowmen. He has a full unit of Hollowmen, a full unit of Dreadrots, and a Gorehound. The commander upgrade is Bounty Hunter, granting +1 command and prey. Trollkin Runeshapers are the prey target. The Trollkin team is led by Janissa Stonetide. She has a unit of Trollkin Scouts and Trollkin Runeshapers. The commander upgrade is Territorial Defender, granting +2 command and defensive strike. We are playing the scenario Survive and Hold. 2 objective markers have been placed on the board along with a flag. The Grymkin are the attackers and the Trollkin are the defenders. So deployment is set and the Grymkin player won priority. Let's start round 1. The Grymkin player wins priority and rolls for Holden's Poisoned Fate. He and the Hollowmen gain a 3-inch reposition this turn. A Dreadrot runs upfield. A Trollkin Scout runs up 12 inches into a forest. Another Dreadrot moves up toward the lake. A Trollkin Scout runs into the forest. The Gorehound activates and walks up toward the outhouse. A Trollkin Scout joins his friend in the forest next to their objective. A third Dreadrot also runs upfield. A Trollkin Scout runs upfield into view of the enemy. A Dreadrot runs up 10 inches by the center building. A Runeshaper advances up and then performs the star action Dig In. Another Dreadrot runs upfield. Janissa moves up. The Dreadrots continue to move up. A third Runeshaper advances up to the edge of the forest. A Hollowman apparates 2 inches, then advances up 5 inches and repositions another 3 inches. A Trollkin Scout runs up toward the center of the board. Another Hollowman apparates 2 inches, then advances 5 inches and repositions up further. A Trollkin Scout runs up toward the center of the board. A Hollowman apparates and advances behind the Dreadrots. The last Trollkin Runeshaper runs. The remaining activations belong to the Grymkin player. A Hollowman apparates and advances 5 inches. The Hollowman targets a Trollkin Scout. He uses a combined ranged attack and gains the bonus from the Hollowman next to him. Since the target is outside of 8 inches, there is a -2 penalty to hit, so the Hollowman needs a 9 to make it. The Hollowman spends a card to boost the attack. The attack hits at power 12, which triggers a casualty roll. The Scout is knocked down. Another Hollowman apparates 2 inches, then advances and repositions another 3 inches. The last Hollowman apparates, advances, and repositions. Holden apparates, advances, and repositions as well. So who do you think's going to win? You should definitely let me know in the comments below. And don't skip ahead. I hate it when you guys do that. Also, you should definitely like this video. Okay, starting at round 2. The players roll for priority and the Grymkin player wins. New cards are drawn for the round. The Trollkin player draws an extra card and discards down to his hand size. Hollow Holden rolls for Poisoned Fate, and this time his weapons gain Weaken. The Grymkin player plays the card Unyielding Force for the round. A Dreadrot activates and charges a Trollkin Scout. He needs a 7 to hit and boosts the attack. The attack hits at dice -3 on 4 dice, which triggers a casualty roll. The Trollkin Scout dies, and the Dreadrot collects a corpse token. The knocked down Scout sacrifices his movement to stand up and attack the Dreadrot. He needs a 6 to hit and misses. A Dreadrot charges the Trollkin scout in the forest. He needs a 7 to hit, and misses. A Runeshaper walks up toward the center lake and attempts a Rockhammer attack on a Dreadrot. He needs a 5 to hit and boosts the attack. The attack crits with a power 14, 3-inch AoE. The Dreadrot directly hit suffers a casualty roll and is injured. The Hollowmen caught in the blast also take a casualty roll, and this one is also injured. The last Hollowman caught in the blast is unharmed, but is knocked down. The knocked down Hollowman sacrifices movement to stand up and targets the engaged Trollkin scout. At Rat 5, he needs a 12 to hit. The Grymkin player plays a card for an additional die. The attack hits at dice -2 and triggers a casualty roll, if barely. The scout is injured. A separate Trollkin scout charges a Dreadrot. He first makes an assault shot needing a 7 to hit and makes it. This causes enough damage to trigger an injury roll, and the Dreadrot is knocked down. The scout follows up with a charge attack, automatically hitting the knockdown model at dice -5. This triggers another injury roll, and the model is destroyed. Another Dreadrot charges a scout. He needs a 7 to hit and plays a card for an additional die. The attack hits at dice -3 on 4 dice, triggering an injury roll. The scout is injured. An injured scout activates and must take another injury roll. He is killed. A Hollowman apparates and aims at a Runeshaper who is in cover, so the Grymkin player needs a 9 to hit, and misses. A Runeshaper advances up and attempts a Rockhammer attack on a Dreadrot. He needs a 7 to hit in the forest and misses at first. The Runeshaper spends a card to re-roll the attack, and still misses. The attack deviates 1 1/2 inches, and just clips the single Dreadrot at power 7. The attack causes no damage. A Hollowman apparates 2 inches and aims at a scout at maximum range with a combined ranged attack. He needs a 7 to hit and makes it. This automatically triggers an injury roll, and the scout is injured. The injured scout now activates and takes another injury roll. He is now only knocked down. He spends a card to shake the knockdown, and also plays the command card Rapid Reload to gain an extra ranged attack this round. The scout targets a Dreadrot with a throwing axe. He has an aiming bonus and needs a 3 to hit the Dreadrot in the back. The attack hits and does enough damage to trigger an injury roll. The Dreadrot is injured. There are no eligible targets for a second throw. A Hollowman apparates, then advances up 5 inches and targets a Runeshaper. He needs a 7 to hit and makes it. It's dice -4 for damage, and the Runeshaper takes 1 damage. A scout in the forest targets a Hollowman. He's aiming and needs a 5 to hit and makes it. The damage triggers an injury roll, and the Hollowman is killed. Hollow Holden apparates up and advances 6 inches, then targets a Runeshaper who's in the forest. He only needs a 3 to hit because of prey and makes it. It's dice -3 for damage, and the attack hits hard enough to trigger an injury roll. The Runeshaper is injured. Janissa moves up and targets a Dreadrot with Rockhammer. She only needs a 4 to hit and makes it. This triggers an injury roll on the Dreadrot. He fails at first, but can re-roll because of tough and is only knocked down. The other Dreadrot in the AoE also takes a casualty roll and is injured. A Hollowman apparates up 2 inches and advances up toward Holden. He targets Janissa with his rifle, using a combined ranged attack. He needs a 6 to hit and makes it. It's dice -3 for damage, and Janissa takes 2 damage. A Runeshaper activates and walks up to the flag. He then targets Holden with Rockhammer. He needs a 6 to hit and makes it. It's straight dice for damage, causing 8 damage to Holden. There is no damage to the other Hollowman. A Hollowman activates and takes another injury roll. This time, he is killed. An injured Dreadrot takes another casualty roll, but he has a battle-ready model in base contact with him, which gives him +1 to the roll. He is now only knocked down. The Dreadrot sacrifices movement to attack the scout. He needs a 7 to hit and misses. The Gorehound activates and runs to the objective. The last Dreadrot runs into base contact with an injured Dreadrot. Whew, so this battle's starting to get a little bloody. I did want to ask before we move on that you check the little button over by the subscribe button down below. It's shaped like a bell. That is the notification button. Now if you click that, you get to know whenever I upload a new video, and YouTube won't keep it a secret from you. Because none of us want that. Alright, starting round 3. The Trollkin player wins priority this round and draws new cards. The Grymkin player also draws up to her hand size. The Scout leader activates and charges a Dreadrot, starting with the assault shot. The shot needs a 7 to hit and misses. The melee attack needs a 6 to hit and makes it. It's dice -3 for damage, and the Dreadrot takes a casualty roll, and is only knocked down. The Trollkin player plays the command card Duelist Training, gaining +2 defense against melee attacks while in Janissa's command range. Hollow Holden rolls for Poison Fate and gains Reposition this round. The Grymkin player plays the command card Defiant Zeal, gaining +3 armor and immunity to knockdown. The Gorehound activates and spends an action on the objective to gain a victory point. Janissa activates and targets Holden with Rockhammer. Both objectives are in her command range, giving her +2 to attack and damage. She hits on anything but double ones and makes it. It's dice +2 against Holden, triggering an injury roll. Initially, he's killed, but a recovery card is spent to keep Holden alive. He is immune to knockdown this round. The second model caught in the blast takes no damage. A Hollowman apparates up 2 inches and targets Janissa. He only needs a 5 to hit and makes it. It's dice -4, causing 5 damage to Janissa. A Trollkin Scout activates and walks into base contact with an injured ally. He finishes off the injured Dreadrot. The Grymkin player plays the Shake card on a Dreadrot and charges Janissa. This triggers a defensive strike from the Trollkin. She needs a 6 to hit and makes it. It's dice -1, which triggers a casualty roll, and the Dreadrot is now injured. The injured Scout takes another injury roll, gaining +1. He is now only knocked down. He sacrifices movement to stand up and throws an axe at Holden. He needs an 8 to hit and misses. Holden apparates up and charges the injured Runeshaper, automatically killing him. Another Runeshaper moves up to kill the injured Dreadrot. This triggers Battle Wizard. The Runeshaper casts Rockhammer against a Dreadrot. He needs a 5 to hit and makes it. It's dice -3 on the Dreadrot, which triggers a casualty roll, leaving him injured. The other Dreadrot in the AoE is unharmed. The Dreadrot sacrifices movement to stand up and fight the Scout, who is not yet activated. He needs a 7 to hit and misses. The Grymkin player uses a reroll card, and the attack now hits. It's dice -3 for damage, and the Scout takes a casualty roll. The Scout is knocked down. A Runeshaper activates and targets a Hollowman with Rockhammer. He needs a 5 to hit and makes it. This automatically triggers a casualty roll, and the Hollowman is knocked down. A Hollowman activates and automatically hits the knockdown Scout. It's dice -4 for damage, and the Scout takes a casualty roll, and is injured. The injured Scout activates and takes another casualty roll, and becomes knocked down. He sacrifices movement to stand up and attack the Hollowman, needing a 6 to hit, and misses. The Trollkin player uses a reroll card, and this time he hits. It's dice -4 for damage, and the Hollowman must take a casualty roll, and rolls a 1. The Hollowman burns a reroll card, but is still killed. Another injured Dreadrot takes another casualty roll and dies. The next injured Dreadrot takes a casualty roll and is also killed. A Hollowman apparates up 2 inches. He then runs to the other objective on the board. Another Hollowman apparates, then sacrifices movement to stand up and target the Runeshaper by the building. He needs an 11 to hit. The attack makes it at dice -4 and triggers a casualty roll on the Runeshaper, who would be knocked down, but since he's immune to such things, remains standing. Did you skip ahead? Alright, starting round 4. The Trollkin player wins priority and draws cards. The Grymkin player also draws up to her hand size. Janissa activates first and walks up to Holden and makes a melee attack. She boosts the attack, needing a 6 to hit, and makes it. This triggers a casualty roll on Holden, who is knocked down. Holden rolls for Poisoned Fate, and his weapons gain weaken this round. A Hollowman activates and spends an action on the objective to gain a victory point. He then targets a Runeshaper in the back, needing a 5 to hit. He makes it at dice -4 and triggers a casualty roll. The Runeshaper is fine. A Runeshaper advances up into the forest and targets the Gorehound with Rockhammer. He spends 2 cards for an additional die and a boost, needing a 7 to hit the dog. The attack does crit at dice +1. The Gorehound takes 10 damage and is knocked down. The Gorehound sacrifices movement to stand up and spends an action to score on the objective again, putting Grymkin to 3 victory points and winning the scenario. Alright, so we just finished up our Company of Iron battle between Kitty and Patty here. You were running Grymkin, you were running Trollkin, or Trollbloods. So Kitty, why don't you talk a little bit about how you picked your list?
So it was definitely a challenge because I literally have played 1 game of Company of Iron with Grymkin before, and I kind of got my butt kicked. But
you made up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she pulled it in the end. Always.
But anyways, so basically I learned from my last mistakes of I literally brought 1 unit, a solo, and I brought all of my oh my goodness.
Hollowman.
I couldn't think of that word for a minute.
Oh yeah.
No, I brought all of my Dreadrots, and then I brought Longfellow and the Gorehound, and I realized I just did not have any range, didn't have anything I could really do to work my way up the board as soon as I got blocked.
Gotcha. So the Hollowman line of sight, being able to pick off some targets.
Yeah, so this time I wanted to do something that was nicely balanced, something a little bit more melee mixed with some range, and I think this list finally kind of did what I wanted it to do.
Seems like it. Patrick, how did you develop your list for the Trollbloods?
So I'm playing a lot of the Trollbloods that I've had for a long time that I don't normally get to play a lot. So of course with the Runeshapers and the Scouts, they don't seem to get a lot of play. Runeshapers don't really feel well in Power of Dunia and regular games, but they're super duper powerful in Company of Iron because of the number of attacks. Janissa Stonetide gives all of the Runeshapers a command range Battle Wizard, which if a Runeshaper kills something in melee, then they can throw stones, and that's like the best.
That doesn't suck. So for the, and then you had the Territorial Defender, I think?
Territorial Defender, yes,
so
on
that helped
Janissa's
bolster
wing.
her. Yeah.
Absolutely, because Territorial Defender gives her Defensive Strike, and Armor Piercing on an attack outside of her activation is just too good to pass up.
That is definitely a good choice. So we had the scenario of you were the defender and you were the attacker. So what did you think of that scenario? Did you feel like one was favored over the other at all?
I thought I had it locked down. I really did. This is the same list I've been playing since Company of Iron came out. So.
Well, you also told me when we first started playing, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come in aggressive. And I was like, oh man, this is not gonna end well for me. But no, I definitely thought that he was going to have the advantage, being the fact that, the markers were
so far back.
Yeah, on his side of the board, and he had,
Dig in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but
I made the mistake.
you didn't have quite as many models as I did, but you had larger base, bigger models.
The multi-wound infantry.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking, that, his were going to be harder to wound, to kill. Or I was going to have to hit them multiple times, and all of my guys are just one hit, and
little
that was
PAL
it.
11s.
Yeah, so I was super scared.
But dice rolls can win you the game either way, and that's just nature of the beast.
Yeah,
True.
It's funny. I can't put it in my format of battle report, but it is impressive how often you are able to call what the dice are going to do.
That, I tell you, it's like a
superpower.
little mini, superpower, because I do it all the time to him. I'm like, you're going to roll a 3, and he literally rolls a 3, and he's like, why did you do that to me? I was like, well, because that's what I needed you to roll.
But never buys a lottery ticket.
Oh, well, there you go.
Right?
It's awesome. No, I love the scenario. That Gorehound seemed like it was kind of a good positioning piece because you can hide behind an objective,
Big time.
and it was hidden behind a forest. Like the positioning on that could have been.
And
So
the
the
fact that he can just
Goreham.
walk through everything too. That was the nicest part was I put him right behind a forest and kind of let his guys move up. And I think he almost kind of forgot about him because then I was able to kind of maneuver my way around and hit that first point.
So the turning point of the game definitely came down to if I was able to get Holden and then Battle Wizard Stone Throw and then get a Rune Shaper in there to finish the deal, it would have been solid. But
It's a lot of ifs.
it's a lot of it.
A lot of ifs.
And that's what it is.
For me, it was just try to kill as many models and get up as quickly as I can before the game ended.
Solid.
Yeah,
Easy
ended
to remember.
by turn 4. I mean, I think overall it was a very solid game, and
Yeah.
it kind of leaned one way, like it seemed to favor you, and then it swung to you, and then it
Yeah.
swung back.
Oh, I thought for sure that last hit, I was like, oh man, this is it.
Yeah,
Totally it.
you weren't winning on those injury rolls at the end, so
Yeah. Oh man, I lost like what, 4 or 5 models in like one round?
it was pretty brutal.
Oh man.
But you
that
had the
was-
models.
AoE.
That's very true. Yeah, after playing Crix, because Crix is my first choice, you get used to, oh, let's just bring as many models as I can and sack a whole bunch of them.
Nice. Well, cool. I appreciate you guys coming on to play today. I know you guys are together, so it's nice to see couples who play
Yeah.
these games. It does happen. It can happen.
It'll be you.
That's right. So, yeah, thank you guys again. We'll see you next time. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this game in the comments.